Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
I keep looking every opportunity I might have to say something positive about my New Orleans Saints. I would love to be able to sit here and talk about a team that was projected to be a playoff team, that was projected maybe to win the division, and what it might take to get this team to go on a run, to get over that hump. Man, it is just so hard to find good things to say about them right now. And I look, y'all. I look every single day. And I walked in here earlier today at 520 Jefferson. And my buddy Matt Miguez, who's bartending right now, let me know if he can hear me, tried to convince me why the Saints are going 11-6. And then I promptly laughed at him. And I said, find me one thing. Find me one objective piece of data anywhere that would adequately suggest that the New Orleans Saints would go 11-6. And you know what he did? He sent me a link to his article at Canal Street Chronicles projecting the Saints to go 11-6. And this isn't great either. So Bill Barnwell is you've read his stuff at ESPN. You've seen him on ESPN platforms. Bill Barnwell, he's an ESPN staff writer, does a really good job. Bill puts together a lot of different metrics and stuff like that around ESPN. And one of the things that he did was using all of his metrics to spit out in their algorithm with on-field performance both last year and looking ahead in the future and who's available and coming off injuries and all that stuff to spit out a metric point to rank the skill positions. Okay, so we're talking running backs, receivers, tight ends. That's it. This isn't offensive line. This isn't quarterback. This isn't rating the whole roster. This is literally just grading out the skill positions for every team in the NFL, 1 to 32. The New Orleans Saints have invested so much on the offensive side of the ball. It's not even debatable. From the Derek Carr contract to drafting Kendre Miller a year ago, bringing in Jamal Williams, using a first-round draft pick on Chris Olave. I mean, what they've done on the offensive line. Now, that's not skill guys, right? But we are talking about on the offensive side. You're bringing in Foster Moreau last year in free agency. The Saints have invested so much on the offensive side of the ball. Almost, I hate to say being negligent toward the defense because they're not negligent toward the defense, but the defense has been so good that it's been like with Dennis Allen, they've just continued to churn. And it would be insincere to say they've been negligent defense. Look, I mean, they drafted Brian Brzee last year in the first round. They drafted Isaiah Foskey in round 2. Obviously, the investment they've made at cornerback this year with Kool-Aid McKinstry. I'm not, so please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying they've been negligent. It's just this is a Saints team that clearly has invested resources in the offensive side. But Bill Barnwell's ranking of the skill guys, 1 to 32. Has the New Orleans Saints 25th. Last year, they were 14th, so down 11 spots from a year ago. I'm not going to read you the whole write-up on it, but he effectively says, do the Saints have playmakers? Depends on how optimistic you are about Alvin Kamara. Says he's confident in Chris Olave, but Kamara's been down for 3 years, averaging 3.9 yards per carry, minus 277 rush yards over expectations during that stretch. So basically what you would have anticipated Kamara's numbers to be over that stretch, he's minus 277. But he says, but Kamara's being paid like a premium back. And then, of course, Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller are there. He does talk about Rashid Shaheed taking on a larger role, but not sure if he can be an every down wide out. And then, look, losing Michael Thomas, Juwan Johnson out indefinitely with a foot injury. It's kind of a question of, can Klint Kubiak get Alvin Kamara back on track? And if he can, maybe this offensive skill group rises more toward the teens. If I look at the New Orleans Saints and and how they might win, how they might exceed expectations this year. What's that path? Well, part of it clearly is the schedule. I mean, the Saints and the Falcons have the easiest strength of schedule in the NFL this season. And part of that's, look, you play in a terrible division, so you get 6 games against bad teams. And, that's how you maintain a lot of parity in the NFL. So schedule's part of it. But the other part of it kind of falls in line with something we talked about earlier in the week about Klint Kubiak, trying to get a resurgence out of Alvin Kamara. Because if you get a resurgence out of Alvin Kamara this year, it means everything else fell in place. It means you answer to the affirmative all the questions we have on the offensive line. It means Derek Carr played at a higher clip than I and many of you think that he will. All of that would go part and parcel. The new Klint Kubiak zone scheme that should benefit Alvin Kamara. Maybe Kamara becomes a more efficient pass catcher again, the same way that the San Francisco 49ers used Christian McCaffrey in the offense a year ago, where he had a career high in receiving touchdowns last season with the 49ers. If Alvin Kamara emerges out of this season, that will be a great sign that after 3 consecutive seasons of declining production, if you see Kamara have this springboard, this trampoline effect back upward, that'd be a great indicator that Kubiak is, in fact, who we all thought and hoped that he would be. But around the rest of the offense, there's just nothing but questions. And it's why you see the Saints here 25th in the NFL in rating of skill. Now, if you're wondering about the rest of the league, 26 is the Commanders, 27 Steelers. The Panthers are at 28, followed by the Giants at 29, Denver at 30, the Patriots at 31, and dead last, I find this very interesting because a lot of people may think this is a contending team. 32 dead last in the NFL in offensive skill, guys, the Chargers. A year ago, they were 5. 2 years ago, they were 6. Enter Jim Harbaugh. Obviously, they invested a first-round pick in Joe Alt, and you have your quarterback. But, my goodness, they have seen an exodus of their elite-level talent offensively. So what is there around Justin Herbert? If Jim Harbaugh wants to build around a big physical rushing offense like he's done many times throughout his career, it will be built around that offensive line and his quarterback in a running game, but it will be fascinating to see. That's not a team, I think, especially because they are a contending team, not a team that I think many would have expected to be at the bottom of the NFL in offensive skill rankings. So, Bill Barnwell, just another brick in the wall stacked against the New Orleans Saints to climb this year. We'll see if they can do it. I really hope I'm dead wrong, man. I don't mean to be the guy that's like, man, I think they're going to sing. I hope I'm wrong so that way I can come back and say, great, I was wrong. But I sincerely do. I mean, I sincerely hope I'm wrong. I hope the Saints are great and are a contending team and go win a championship. It's just I have to be sincere in my comments on this team. And every time we talk about anything heading into this season, it all keeps singing this familiar chorus, which is that the Saints are a team that's not well coached. They don't have an elite quarterback. The roster throughout the talent throughout the roster has been downgraded over the last 3 years since Drew Brees left. There's just not a lot of reason to think that they're going to turn it around this year. I mean, Vegas has them over under 7.5. We'll see what it might take, how high over that number they'd have to get to win the division. But you'd have to think at least 9, if not 10 wins to win the NFC South, and that's likely going to be the Saints' only path to the postseason.
Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.